Hi, my name is Lindsay and I'm a registered psychotherapist. I've created this series called Walk the Talk to stress the importance that therapists practice what they preach and to share a little bit about the different habits that I've created over the years to really help bolster my well-being. So today we're talking about evening rituals and evening routines. Having a routine is a really helpful way to take the guesswork out of, how we're going to end our day or how we're going to start our mornings or how we're going to carry ourselves throughout the lunch period or whatever we want to focus on. So for today, we're going to talk about how I set up my evening ritual. So for me, really limiting screen time is super important to my sleep schedule. For me, what I've found out works best through trial and error is actually cutting off all screen time at 9 p.m. So if I'm watching a show, I make sure that I time it so I can be done at 9 or shortly thereafter. If I've started a movie and I'm halfway through, I use some self-discipline and I stop and I press pause and I'll come back to it the next day. And I also have a bedtime mode on my phone so that most of the apps are locked, as well as my phone goes into grayscale to help reduce the blue light emission so that it doesn't trick my brain into thinking that it's time to actually stay awake longer rather than wind down for bed. So I start off 9 o'clock, we shut down all the screen time. Then from there, I head upstairs, brush my teeth, do my skincare regime, do my supplements, and then I use the rest of the evening to do some stretching and wind down and do some grounding. What I do for this is I really create an environment to help me ease into a mode of becoming more tired. I do this by dimming the lights in my room, and I also put on some meditation, some yoga, or some yin type music to just create a more peaceful environment. From here, if my body needs it, I'll do some stretching or some yoga. Maybe I'll light an incense or a candle if I'm feeling up for it. Or maybe I'll use a pillow spray, maybe some eucalyptus or some lavender to help me relax. And then from here, once I'm done my stretching, if I need to, I'll start to read. I use reading as a way to help me ease into sleep every evening because I find that I get tired, sometimes after 5 pages, sometimes after 10, but it's a way to help me ease into sleep and also to check off my daily, intention of getting a little bit of reading in. I'm currently in a book club, so that gives me some space, in my schedule to meet the goals for what we're reading book club. So this is something that I do every evening. Maybe it's a little bit different on weekends now that things are opening back up with COVID, so maybe I'll start that ritual a little bit later. But this is something that I find is absolutely key, especially, or at least for my work week. It helps to provide some consistency, and it takes the guesswork out of what I'm doing. So if you're considering doing an evening routine as well, you want to think about how am I going to create an environment to help me relax more. Maybe that's some aromatherapy, maybe that's some music, right? What you want to think about, what can I do for my body to help me relax? Maybe that's some stretching or some self-massage, the sexual or non-sexual kind, whatever you need, whatever feels good. I usually recommend my clients to do some self-massage on hands, feet, or legs. I find this can be especially stress-reducing, right? And then from there, find a book that you either find really engaging or super boring. You can try out these two different skills or two different types of literature to see what works for you. Now, of course, reading doesn't work for everyone. Some people like to listen to sleep stories. This is something that I've tried out before on Headspace and Calm. Sometimes my eyes are just too tired from working all day or doing a lot of reading throughout the day, so I don't want to do that. So I'll opt for a sleep story instead and do some stretching while I try that out. Sometimes I find my mind is racing. In these cases, I will do a body scan style meditation. Maybe I'll do some progressive muscle relaxation, or I'll focus on that sleep story with the stretching. These are just some different ideas of how I switch up my routine in the evening. Having a routine doesn't mean you have to do everything exactly the same every single night. These are just some different options that I use, and I switch it up, as needed. I really focus on listening to my body and checking in with my thought process to see if there's some racing thoughts. Maybe some nights I'll do meditation 3 nights in a row, or maybe, I won't do stretching for a full week. It's really about just checking in and allowing yourself or giving yourself that permission to do what you need in the moment. So take some time to reflect on how you could do some experiments and make some changes with your evening schedule and see what kind of impact that has on your stress levels as well as your ability to fall asleep. Stay tuned for the next Walk the Talk.